Welcome to the Garden Show. I'm Peggy Ballister Howells, and I have with me at the moment this crazy alfalfa puppy who it appears, for all intents and purposes, that he is going to be a 1 ear up, 1 ear down dog, for better or worse. I think he's kind of cute. And he's been carrying this huge bone around with him that he stole from Juniper. Okay, go run around, go chew your bone. So let me give the phone number. I have a couple people who sent me pictures that I'm hoping they'll call. Mary from Warren sent me orchid pictures, and Anne Marie sent me her Pussy Willows. So if you guys could call, I will get your slides up. In the meantime, let me give the phone number. It's 888-399-7344. And please remember to like and subscribe. And we've been doing a bunch of shorts that show up on YouTube and even TikTok, thanks to Andy from South River, who is our social media coach. And things are picking up. Kind of exciting. So, okay, the number 888-399-7344. That's Peggy, Pegi 7344. So, what are we going to talk about first? How about what was that, Daddy?
How was your weekend?
How was my weekend? My weekend was good. It was a little snowy, like everybody else's, a little bit cold. I did pump up the heat in the greenhouse a little bit just because I have new orchids in there and I didn't want them to struggle. So I pumped it up to 58 at night instead of 55. And I think yesterday I pumped it up to 68 during the day and I forgot to turn it down, but I just got a face from my husband for that. Okay, so let's since we're talking about orchids, let's go to monkey orchids. Okay, monkey orchids are real, but I'd have to say that in searching for good pictures of monkey orchids, I came across more than one that was fake, either computer generated or I don't know, that were not real. So, and I also came across information that the growers or the people that are trying to sell seed online have a less than stellar reputation. So be very, very careful. The orchid show that we went to, and there's an orchid greenhouse in Neptune. If you're really looking to buy orchids, go to a quality place. They're too expensive to spend money on and not be successful. So, but this is the first one. Next. This is, I have to say, of all of them, I fell in love with this one because it looks like it even has a tail and just so cute. This one seems to come in a variety of colors, or at least there's another slide that I'll show you that looks very similar, but not exactly the same. But look at those little faces. And there's this one. This one looks, I don't know if it's just this individual flower, but looks like he's a little bit of a windstorm. Oh, there's the other one that looks very similar with the fuzzy outer petals, but these are legitimate monkey face orchids for real. Okay, this one has a different name. This is not it's listed, it shows up among the monkey face orchids, but this is an entire body. And I've seen some of them called naked men, and they are anatomically correct, which is a little bizarre. This is the one that I purchased, and this is supposedly one of the slightly easier ones to grow. And their botanical name is the genus Dracula. And I don't think it has anything to do with the vampire. It has to do with that the word Dracula actually means little dragon. And this is Dracula Felix. And This one, in doing all my research, which looks similar to mine, is called Dracula Rekiziana or Rezikiana. And of all the ones that I found, this one was touted to be one of the easier ones to grow. And again, it looks very similar to the one that I have. So I was sold that one, that it was among the easier ones, but none of them are as easy as, you know, a philodendron or a snake plant. So you're going to need to pay attention. But this particular one, as with mine, the flowers hang down below the pot. So you need to have it in a spot where it has the ability for the flowers to emerge and then hang down lower than the level of the bottom of the pot. So please keep that in mind when you're placing them. And this was the information I could find about the care of monkey orchids. And it seems simple, but I think one of the most important things is that you want to be very consistent. It says cool, moist, and shady. So a minimum low temperature of 46 degrees Fahrenheit and a high of around 85. But if it's anything over 80, like in my greenhouse, it could definitely get over 80 degrees for sure. So I may move it out of the greenhouse in the heat of the summer and put it someplace else. But anything over 80 degrees, you have to keep it really wet, which makes sense. It grows in the jungle. It grows under the canopy of the trees that are in there. So that's why they are tolerant of lower light. But please, when it says minimum, you know, low temperature, you want to try to stay away from the minimum and the maximum if you can. And also shady is not deep shade. So, I mean, shady, I have mine on the edge of the greenhouse towards the inside, closer to the house, so that, and my orchids seem to be doing really well in that plane of the greenhouse. It used to be a screened in porch, and there's like a shin high brick wall that used to hold up the screens, and that divides the sitting area from the actual functional greenhouse area. And I have a lot of hanging plants and hooks and things in that area, and the potting bench is right up against that. So that area, that kind of dividing line between the sunniest part of the greenhouse and the shady part of the sitting area, screened in porch area, seems to be a perfect place. So they may get a little bit of direct sun in the winter when the sun is low in the sky. I don't think they're going to get any direct sun, but it'll be very bright in the summertime. And so far, the orchids that I've had up till now have been doing very well. So hopefully they will continue to do so. So let's come back to me. And let's see, I'm going to put a call out again for Mary from Warren to give us a call. And of course, Anne Marie and Uncle Art to call about their Pussy Willows. And should we go to hooks? Or no, you know what we should go to? We're going to go to a video. I did some major pruning on my begonias. I have two enormous begonias that I got 2 summers ago or 2 springs ago from my good friend Mel at Madden's Family Farm. And I've overwintered them and pruned them back and made lots of cuttings. And when I brought them in late September, they were very overgrown at that point. They're still making tremendous numbers of flowers, but even in the process of moving them, the branches had gotten so long they were snapping off. So I pruned it in September, and it's been flowering for most of the winter, the time that it's been inside. But it was time to prune it again. So here, enjoy this. Hi, I love this begonia. I've had it on the front porch at Tiny Farm for 2 summers now. When we brought it in the fall, we did cut it back because it had gotten quite leggy, but it's time to do that again. And hopefully it'll be nice and full before we put it out. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut it. See, there's a nice little side shoot there. And we're going to try to bring it back and give it a nice shape. And then we're going to take the cuttings and root them in water. sometimes if there's no foliage, you can just take it back to a branch. And they root and resprout pretty easily, so I think that we should be okay. All right, and now I'll show you what it looks like in just a minute. So we've pretty much cut off all the branches that we need to. This is the last cut, and as you can see, I'm taking it back to that cute little bud. Now we're going to try to save. This is a really nice cutting, but we're going to take the flowers off, and then we're going to prune it so that there's a leaf node near the base. And this will join all its friends. You can see all the flowers and all the cuttings. All these cuttings have a leaf node at the base, and hopefully these will root and we'll be able to pop them up. The mother plant here hasn't been fertilized since last summer, so we're going to give it a little dose of fertilizer, a little Osmocote, and we'll give it a drink, and we'll hang it back up. And with a little luck, this will be just as beautiful this summer as it was for the last 2 years. So what do you think? That was fun, and some of that has been aired as a short, so you might come across some of that information just as you cruise around through YouTube or TikTok or any of that stuff. But in the meantime, Anne-Marie has called, so if Tommy, you could bring up the Pussy Willow images, that would be good. And then we're going to have a little chat with Anne-Marie. Good morning, Anne-Marie.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I wish I had all those black-eyed Susans blooming in my yard.
Oh, okay, that was a fake. That was a fake, but
I know, but it makes me happy.
It makes me happy too. We did pick a bunch of more seasonally appropriate ones, but they're just not as happy, you know. So we bend the rules a little bit around here. But these are your Pussy Willows. So explain to me. These are the pictures that you sent me. But
okay, the tall green vase is the one that they were in. I cut them just before Christmas because they were budding and looked like I was going to have nice little gray catkins. So I brought them in, I put them in water, and it went through the holidays, and I traveled. And when I came home, lo and behold, I had catkins and roots all at the same time. So they're actually the same stems. We moved them into a clear glass, if that would make it more obvious how many roots had grown versus the green one. When they start to root, they tend to root in a circle at the bottom of your container. But when you move them, you see it fills up a whole 8-ounce glass of water. And they were easy. And if I can keep them going until it's time to plant them outside, I might make myself a Pussy Willow hedge.
That sounds great, but you need to get them in soil as soon as possible.
I know, and then I need to abandon them, and I need to be at the mercy of the angels that come to water in my house.
Oh dear! So you're going to try to leave them in the water while you're gallivanting?
I haven't decided, because maybe I should go and cut some new ones and let them root while I gallivant, and if these don't survive, I won't be any further behind or ahead, I guess. And of course, that's the Pussy Willow that come March, when the weather breaks, I'm chopping down to about a 4-foot trunk, and whatever wants a bush out. And if that one wants to get cut off completely after there's next generation, then I guess maybe that'll happen too.
Well, but that's the way Pussy Willows are grown commercially, is to cut them all the way down, not every year, but to cut them all the way down, because the new suckers that come up from the soil are going to be very long, very straight, and will make lots of Pussy Willows for the following year. That's in fact even the way.
Yeah, this tree, bush, whatever, I don't even know what to call it anymore, is probably about 20 foot tall, some of those spires, and that all generated probably 10 foot from last year, because I cut off the long spires and, brought them in, and I can't even reach them anymore. Let's put it that way.
Well, if left uncut and undramatically pruned, they will turn into a tree. A Pussy Willow is a small tree. But if you cut it way back, then it sends up the suckers, and that's how you get the long ones. It's the same thing that the American Indians did in order to make arrows. they would use
Right.
arrowwood
It's
viburnum.
got too many branches at this point, I
Right.
think, to be a tree. I would have
Okay.
had to prune it as it went. I have 2 good 1.5, 2-inch trunks coming out of the base of it, not at the base, but a couple of, maybe a foot up. So it's really misshapen and unattended, I guess. I didn't really know what to do with it, so I just let it be.
All right. Well, you
Now
have at it,
is
or
what it
have
is.
Uncle Art have at it with a reciprocating saw, and it should
I
regenerate.
know, we get the old
and
saw out and the hedge clippers. But these, well, it's only 1 bucket, but I should put those in dirt right now before I forget to do that. Okay.
you might
I
want to
promise I will.
separate them. You might want, put them in. If you want to make a hedge, then you're going to want to pot them up individually if you can.
Yeah, yes, I do. I want to, they're all 1 stake now with nothing shooting out from them. But they did go gray, and 2 of them have burst out with their yellow. And I
Okay.
know that the leaves won't be far behind. So
Well, I have
I need to do it
a new image up, and the image on the left, I don't know if you're able to see, Emery, but our other viewers can. You can see the little parts, the little anthers and pistils sticking out, beginning to emerge, but there's still one fuzzy one as well. But if you put them in water, this is what happens. They stop being catkins and become flowers, and they open up and to make the pollen. And this image that I stole to show you, this is what they look like when the flowers have fully matured, and then they fall off, and then you just have a stick. So, but if you want the Pussy Willows, you have to not put them, you have to cut them in the stage that you want them, or you could possibly cut them, put them in water, and then when they get to the stage that you want them to be, take them out of the water, because if they're dry, the catkins will last for years. But if they continue to develop and mature, they do their natural thing and turn into, instead of fuzzy, they turn kind of Sputnik-y, and which is it's all fun, it's all good. It's just a matter of what you want to do. But I so appreciate you sending me these pictures. And
well, you're welcome. And as you can see, it's quite seasonal because you're looking out the sliders to our deck and to the embankment behind us, which has snow.
Yes, it does.
So this morning we actually had 3 deer on the embankment over there. Their coats are so dark. We've never seen, they almost look like they're black.
Really?
Yeah. I can't say we have the same deer every year because we live by Route 130 and often there's death and dismemberment going on out there. But their coats are extremely dark. They're very dark brown. And then the one actually laid down in the snow.
Well,
we never see them lie down. They're either standing or running. Take your pick. But
well, I guess they feel very comfortable at your house. Feels like
it's only comfortable if you stay on the other side of the brook, because I'm really not happy when you come and you eat off all of my plants. You've eaten my hosta down to nothing. You have eaten my hydrangeas down to nothing. And you're working on my forsythia at the moment.
Oh, that's another thing that you can cut and bring in right now. If you brought in a bunch of forsythia branches, you could force them into bloom too.
I have enough forsythia, thank you.
No, not to
they
root.
Come up, if it lays on the ground, it roots itself. I'm pulling it out like a weed.
I understand. I don't mean to do that in order to generate roots and to propagate them. I'm just suggesting that you and other people that have forsythia
if I wanted to make a new hedge, that would be the ideal thing, would be to make a row of newly rooted sticks.
I just want people.
That holds our backyard to our embankment, because if not, I'll be down in the brook.
I just want people to bring in some cuttings and let them flower inside, to bring in a little spring. That's what not.
Be ahead of the game, right? I know.
You don't have to. You don't have to propagate.
Well, my sister in Tennessee told me that her daffodils were up about 4 inches, and they just got some snow, but she doesn't know what's going to happen because she didn't have buds yet, but she does have green leaves. So
they should be fine. They should be fine. My sister's in Tennessee also, and she said that
I didn't know that.
She's just her 2 of her sons are in Tennessee, and one of them needed a babysitter. His wife was having surgery, so my sister went down to take care of the
That's what
three
grandmas
kids.
do.
Yeah, that's exactly what grandmas do. So she went down there and she let me know that it was they had 6 inches of snow and it was 12 degrees. So so much for going
Yeah, it
south for the
depends where
winter.
you are in Tennessee. My sister's in the Northeast, and they got hardly any snow compared to other parts. But that happened right here in Jersey. So
Yes, it does.
I think you got more down towards the shore than we did.
Well, it's not so much the volume right now. It's that the sun came out and melted it, and then it froze again. So now it's like a very bumpy
Sure.
skating rink, which is that's the problem.
Nasty.
So
Be careful.
everything has to be everyone has to be very careful. So
Okay, well, I'm going to click off, and hopefully Mary will call you. I don't know what she's calling about, but I'll be happy to hear her.
well, you'll see because she already called.
What Eileen's up to.
So hang in there
Eileen's
because
right here local to me, so that's good.
So Mary's next. All right.
Okay. All right. Take care. I'll see you during the week.
Okay. You have a great week.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, that was good timing. So, Mary, are you with us? Mary?
I just heard the beep. I'm here now.
There you are. How you doing today?
Good.
Okay.
Good. I missed the very beginning of the show because I was dealing with a frozen pipe.
Oh,
But then
that's
I heard
not good.
you say I should call.
Yes.
It wasn't too bad.
When we lived at Blooming Acres, we had 2 sinks in the kitchen, and opposite one of the sinks, we installed a wonderful Genair stove. Great stove. But there was no place to put an exhaust fan over it. It just didn't work. And so we bought a Genair stove that had a downdraft. And so it went under the floor and out the wall under the sink. And when it got cold, because of that downdraft, that sink froze. The number of times I spent standing on a ladder with a hairdryer in the basement, moving the ceiling tiles to defrost that. It was a nightmare. Frozen pipes are a nightmare. It never exploded, thank God, but you have my sympathy. So at least you conquered it, right? It's okay now?
Yes, I did conquer it. We're good. The dishwasher's running again.
Okay. All that's excellent.
So
I don't know if you're looking at pictures. You may not be able to when you're on the phone, but I have the pictures up.
no, I can because I have it on my computer and my phone is next to me.
Oh, great. Okay. So you can see this is one of the orchids that you purchased.
Yes.
And I think, Mary from Warren, that this is the orchid that I said at the end of last week was my favorite orchid. It looks different. I did not purchase this one. I didn't see it available for sale, but there was a display where this was a much more mature specimen and the branches arched over something like a weeping willow. And I think this was it. And now, Mary from Warren, I am very jealous. I am very jealous because I didn't see it for sale or I would have bought it. And then maybe the timing wasn't right anyway, because I didn't see that one till the very end. And then I took a picture of it. But I just think it's really just magical the way it grows with the branches and the beautiful flowers. So there you have it. So you got the one that I probably should have bought, but it's really beautiful. All right, next.
It seems to be happy. I put it in. It's actually a vase. I put it in because it seemed like the leaves and things needed a little bit more support to really stand up.
Okay. Well, I can see that you put it in a vase. I can see it in the picture on the right. And you know what else? That vase is going to help provide additional humidity, just keeping it a little more moist. So that may be a twofer, you get 2 benefits from putting it in that. One of the orchids that I bought, the monkey orchid that I bought, I've been debating trying to come up with some sort of glass container to make sure that the humidity's up. Now, there is a lot of humidity in the greenhouse, but I really want to protect it. I haven't come up with anything because it's one of those that needs to be in a position for the flowers to arch over. So I don't know how I'm supposed to put that under a bell jar unless I put the pot up on a pedestal and then it's a really big bell jar and I can cover the whole thing and then there'd be room for the flowers. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. So far it seems to be doing okay. So where it is, and it can hang down in the spot that I have it. So for now, but I'm going to try to do something. But I think that was a really good idea to put it in that glass vase. I think that's going to give you, a couple of advantages. But anyway, it's gorgeous and I'm jealous. So on to the next one. Oh, that's a close-up of the picture. Look at how pretty that is. Okay, next. All right. This one's purple, so obviously I can't not like it. Why did you choose this one? What about this one captured your imagination?
It kind of, well, it was two things. One was the color. And I kind of like that it doesn't really look like an orchid to me, but I like how the stems go up and the flowers are kind of all over, but they're small. It looks kind of delicate.
It does look delicate. I would agree with you. And the color, of course, is purple, my favorite color.
Yeah.
Please note the lovely shade of background color I got to match the flower. I was very careful about that.
You did a great job
Thank
there,
you.
Peggy. You
Thank
really
you.
did.
Thank you. So, okay. So how's this one doing? Looks like it's got another flower spike coming up. It's got a second flower spike that's going to give you flowers for a while. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, it does. It does. And I sometimes it looks kind of blue. Sometimes it looks purple. I like that color.
My house is that color. Yes, I like that color. All right. On to the next one. All right. This one is very different than the other two, both in color and growth habit. This one's got a stem with leaves up and down the stem, whereas the one we were looking at, let's go back a slide. See, this one has all leaves at the base, as did the other one. So this is very cool. So forward, please. So why'd you get this one?
You know what? This, I was just going to say this one and the purple one, according to their tags, they're both dendrobium.
Dendrobium.
And just different varieties within that.
Dendrobium, yes.
Dendrobium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And how's it doing? Here's an important question. Have they kept their flowers? Or did they drop their flowers in the change, the transition?
The first one that you really liked, that dropped a few. I want to say maybe 6 little flowers, 8 little flowers. Nothing else has dropped anything.
It's good that the flower show was when it was, because with this cold weather, even transporting them from the show to the car could have caused damage when it's as cold as it is now. So it worked out well that was when the weather was a little bit warmer. But this one's really pretty. Keep me posted on how they will do. Next, please. All right. So this was at the greenhouse sale for Rutgers that I knew nothing about, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry I didn't tell you about that.
Yes. Well, I will make up for it next year. But this snake plant, I actually have this snake plant. It's called Bantel Sensation.
You do? Okay.
Yes, I have this one. It's called Bantel Sensation. And it's streaked with white. I'm going to tell you a couple things about this one it's a snake plant. So, I mean, how hard can it be to grow? But there's a couple things. When you go to divide it, when it gets crowded, and I'm not saying that you need to do that anytime soon, they can stay very pot bound for a very long time. It is very difficult to get established because it's so tall, so upright, so skinny. Supporting it requires all kinds of creative ways of keeping it up in the pot. You can't, it has, snake plants have very shallow root systems. So it's not like you can plant it deep to keep it up. One of the tricks that I've done is I've used a much too large pot, much too large, and the tall, skinny kind of pots, relatively skinny, as opposed to the flat, open bowl kind, which is, they can do really well in that because they have a shallow root system. But I use a really tall pot and then only put a little bit of soil in the bottom, and then the pot holds it up. Did you follow that?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right. So you don't want to put it deep in the pot. Well, you put it deep in the pot, not deep in the soil. So you put, a couple inches of soil on the bottom and you put it in there, and then the pot holds it up, and that's helpful. You may need to supplement with something else, a stake and some string or something, but that's a good start. It can only fall over so far if it's in a pot that's 10 inches high and it's down in the bottom 3 inches of the pot. It can only fall over so far. So that's the first thing I want to tell you about this plant.
Oh, all right.
So the second thing I want to tell you is that it has a tendency to revert.
Oh,
to go back to green and yellow, or just green. And what I found, I've had mine for many years. When I divided it the last time, I threw away about half of it and saved the parts that were maintaining the nice white streaking. And the one that I have now, that has now become established in the pot, has not reverted yet, but really I threw away about half of it because it did revert. So you want to keep an eye on it, because if it turns all green, the green part will be more robust than the variegated part. So you want to make sure you get rid of that as soon as you notice.
Oh, okay. So I do have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't grow that quickly, and it's not a life and death kind of thing. But when the time comes, you just, you want to be aware that you need to separate out the good part from the part. And the other part, there's nothing wrong with it. You can propagate it and enjoy it, but it's not going to look like this. And if you allow it to stay in the pot, it will dominate eventually. So you just want to make sure that doesn't happen. But I'm going to go to that sale at Rutgers next year. I really feel I got shortchanged. I'm so bummed. But next year, there's always next year.
Yeah,
right?
they definitely, there was.
I said there's always next year.
Yeah, there is, and I'm sure they'll have new and interesting things. This year they also had they had some carnivorous plants. They had sundews and flytrap.
My friend
which
Jordan
I had not
loves
ever
those
seen
things.
there before.
My friend Jordan really loves those. So she has several of the pitcher plants. And they're enormous. She does really well with them too. So next year. All right. Anything else you want to add for today?
Yes. I don't. Oh, you know what? I needed to tell you something. I know we haven't started to talk about seeds yet, but that seed I told you about, that was I don't remember what it was. I have it somewhere. The BN was a tomato that I said we had in the fall, and they were really good, and I was going to plant them this year. And my sister went and was looking at them, and she asked me, she said, did I know that they were determinant? And she wondered if it was a good idea to plant them.
Well,
so, when we do talk about.
Well, determinate versus indeterminate means that, it's going to reach a certain point and then stop growing. If it's a tomato that you really like, then yeah, sure, plant it. And even, all tomatoes have a life expectancy in the garden. Some will peter out earlier than others, even the indeterminate ones. So if you really like it, it's really more of, if you really like this tomato, then you want this tomato. And I wouldn't plant all determinate ones because you wouldn't have anything going longer in the season. So, I don't know how many tomato plants you or your sister are intending to plant, but, you plant a couple and enjoy them, and then plant other things that are indeterminate. You should be fine.
Okay. Sounds good.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, they were very delicious tomatoes.
All right.
And great for BLTs.
Oh, now, Mary, you're making me hungry because I haven't eaten anything yet. I had my cup of tea and my plant lady mug, but I haven't eaten anything yet. So, are you taking me out to lunch today? Oh, I got a good nod there, so maybe we'll do that. All right. So you have a great week, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right. I'm going to give the phone number again. I'd love to hear from some of our other viewers. The number here is 888-399-7344. That's 7344 is Pegi, P-E-G-I. And would love to have a little chat if you have any questions or have something that you would like to add. That would be great. What are we going to do next?
Books,
No, well, don't we have another video that we can share?
the Camellia.
Oh, yeah, that's a quick little video, but you've got to see this. Ooh, sorry about that. Sorry about that, but the dogs just went berserk. It sounded like maybe somebody came to the front door. Can't help it. They're just trying to protect us. So, so again, let me give you the number 888-399-7344. And don't forget, you can comment. And if you have a question and you don't want to call, you can do a comment, and then I can read the comment and answer your question. And also, we are on Facebook, so you can look at us on Facebook. And you can like and subscribe there as well. Most people do seem to watch on YouTube. That seems to be the main event here. But in the meantime, we are in a couple of other venues. So, oh, and now all the dogs are up here. And have people been able to hear me? Because, okay, that's good. All right, because we did mute it because the dogs were going berserk. But, okay, so let's go to this cute little video that I took, just a real short one. Hi, I'm in Ocean Grove, and it's really windy and it's getting really cold, and I think we're about to have the first snowstorm of the winter. But I wanted to show you this camellia is still blooming. It's a pretty gutsy plant. Okay, have fun. Bye. I think that's amazing. That camellia has been blooming pretty much nonstop since November. And some years it has more flowers at once and is more dramatic, but this year it's been giving us flowers kind of for an extended period of time. I haven't seen it since the snow, so I would expect that it's not going to do great. But this year I do have a plan, and I always have to prune it back and take the wild branches off. And Ocean Grove is sort of very limited space, and so I have to be very careful about not letting things get overgrown. You know, it's really very restricted. So I haven't ever attempted to propagate that, but that particular camellia is rather spectacular. And so when I go to prune it in the spring, I intend to attempt to make some cuttings. And if I do, and if any of them root, I might be able to have some to give away. I don't know the name of this camellia because it came with the house, but of all the camellias I have, it is the most dramatic. So I will attempt to propagate it. I might keep one or two for me, but there's always a ton of branches. And if I can be successful in propagating it, I will have some to give away at the plant exchange, which will be great fun. So we have a caller who's calling us. Oh, it's Chris from Scotch Plains. Hey, Chris, how you doing? What can
Good morning, Peggy.
Good morning. What can I do
I'm
for you?
doing good. I'm doing good. Peggy, I just wanted to talk about a couple of different things. You were mentioning about taking Forsythia cuttings. Normally, when I do that, ideally, I would go out like on a mild spring day, wait for the buds to swell, and cut the plants. If I was ambitious enough, could I go out on a cold day like this earlier in the season and still expect to have some success forcing them?
I would think so. And the reason I say that is everything was so advanced to begin with. You know, I mean, everything was a little ahead of schedule. So I think if you went just like the Pussy Willows, Anne-Marie took them a couple of weeks ago and they're already covered in roots. Ordinarily, I would say, you know, you don't go out until February to take them either, but they're going berserk. So I think the Forsythia would probably be the same. That would be my guess. I think you could cut a bunch of branches and really enjoy them. You might even be able, if you have any white Gelia, you might be able to do them too. Oh, and fruit trees.
Okay. I just want to encourage your listeners. Last year, I did take some Forsythia branches earlier in the season, and I just brought them to work. I left some in my department, some in the library, and people had no idea what I was up to or why there were sticks in a vase of water. A lot of curiosity, and they were amazed when everything started to bloom. So it's a simple thing to do if you have neighbors, shut-ins, somebody that doesn't have a yard. It's a very simple thing. Certainly it branches profusely, so we have more than enough branches to share. But that worked out well. And it brought a lot of people close to nature and made a lot of people happy.
You know, one of my favorite things, and I don't really have any fruit trees now, but when I was at Blooming Acres, I had peach trees. I had several peach trees, and you're supposed to prune peach trees in January, February. That's the ideal time to prune them. And on a day when the temperatures are above freezing, of course. But when they bloomed, oh my, they were spectacular. They were so beautiful, and they did great. And it's sort of a twofer because you have to prune them anyway. So, and you can, when you do your pruning on the fruit trees, it becomes pretty obvious which ones are flower buds and which ones are leaf buds. And so you can gather the branches that have a lot of flower buds and stick them in water, and they will bloom, and they're beautiful. And I think people talk about Forsythias doing this, it's fairly common, but the fruit trees are less well known that you can do that, I think. And they were my favorite. They were so had kind of a pink peachy blossom, and I put them in an enormous purple vase. When that bloomed, it looked like it could have been in a gardening catalog. It was so perfect. So so that's another one that you can do. Yeah, it's really pretty.
That sounds. I don't have a peach tree at this point, but what the heck? The year is young. Maybe I could water one. That sounds very interesting, though.
So what else? You said you had a couple things. Was there something else on your list?
Yeah, the other thing your previous caller had called about the tomato with the unappetizing name. So I had written it down, and I see it in Johnny's Selected Seeds. It's called BHN 589. The catalog description does describe it as a determinant, but it says it's like a very large determinant. So they suggest staking it or supporting it more than you would for a normal determinant plant. But it sounds good. It sounds like it's disease resistant. It sounds like it's very productive and it's very flavorful. I'm kind of on the fence about ordering it. Again, I prefer if it wasn't determinate, but what the heck, that you can, get a lot of tomatoes out of it and have something planted for later in the season. It might be worth a try.
You know what another approach could be, Chris, that you could do is that you could stagger your planting.
Oh, okay.
So, you could.
No, that sounds like a good idea, because I know normally I have a tendency to plant things out either a little bit early or maybe like toward the latter part of May. But certainly if I put something in, after Memorial Day, it would still have plenty of time to grow, and it would probably grow, better in the warmer weather. So the staggered planting, that's a very good thought, though.
Farmers do that. Farmers stagger their plantings. They don't have just one planting of their best tomatoes. They stagger them, and they can do tomatoes, in the ground as late as the end of June. So if you really wanted to have these tomatoes, these determinate tomatoes, for a longer period of time, you could do some say 2 plants in mid-May, 2 plants in late May, 2 plants in mid-June. You could even try 2 plants in late June. That would still only be a total of 8 plants. Which is, I know that's small potatoes for you, because I know you really like to grow your tomatoes. So you could do that, and then that would extend the season significantly.
Okay, that sounds like it's certainly something to consider. It'll take more planning, but I think in the scheme of things, it seems like it's a very good idea. And the other thing I just wanted to mention, I was in yesterday and I started looking through seed catalogs and ordering seeds. I'm surprised, but even at this time in mid to late January, some seed varieties are actually sold out already.
Yeah.
So there are certainly a lot of seeds to buy, but if you're looking for a particular kind of a cabbage or an onion or a tomato, not necessarily, be there if you wait until March to order them.
You've seen Jordan or heard Jordan on my show, my delightful young friend, who unfortunately for me, but fortunately for her, has now got a full-time job. So she's not around to help me as much as she was and hang out with me as much as she was. It's hard to find friends who have as much in common with me because I have a lot of diverse interests. You probably figured that out. I like to cook. I like to garden. I like to sew. I like to craft. I like to tile. I like to paint. I like to do a lot of things. And Jordan's right there with me. So,
and the animal friends too.
Yes.
It seems like both of you have that in common.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right. So, so I'm a little bummed, but I'm thrilled for her because she seems really happy. But the other part of that is she has Tuesday off, and we're planning on spending the afternoon pouring through seed catalogs together. So we should
very good.
So we should be able to get our lists and our post-its and get at least a handle on what I always order too many different kinds of seeds. I never get everything, but you got to dream big. So, but I want to add something about those tomatoes, the determinant tomatoes, in terms of planning the garden. You might want to give some thought to, rather than saving space for them, you can possibly use the later plantings for some of the stuff that's not gonna, like your peas. By end of June, your peas are going to be done. So you could plan on putting the late tomatoes in where the peas were. Or even,
that's a good idea.
Or
Absolutely.
even, some of the lettuces don't hold up as well, once the weather gets hot. So maybe you could put the 2 in mid-June in where the peas were and the 2 in late June where some of the lettuces were. And then you wouldn't have to save space for them. That would be very efficient use of garden space.
That's a good idea.
So I think that would work. And then, get the best of all possible worlds there. You get your peas, you get your lettuce, you get your early tomatoes, you get your mid-season tomatoes, you get your late tomatoes, and then you can plant your full season tomatoes anywhere you want. I want to see pictures. I want to see, when you do this, I want to see pictures. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
I can do that. It's always good talking with you. Looking forward to hear how you make out next week with your seed ordering. It's a fun thing to do. A lot of possibilities at this point, and it's a wonderful thing to do.
I'm going to tell you one other thing that I'm working on since I listed all those things I like to do. I'm finally getting to paint the stairwell from the first floor to the second floor. I can see the wall right now because I'm on the second floor. Our little homemade studio is on the second floor. And we decided to do the stairwell last because of all the furniture moving up and down. We didn't want to ding the walls. So, we waited until last. And I kind of procrastinated. There's other things. I can't really do that in the growing season. So January and February is when I do those kind of projects. So it's painted yellow now. Chris, it's painted. It's been spackled and spackled and spackled and painted yellow, very pale yellow. And the next step is I am going to roll some stripes on it with a roller in kind of a darker yellow, like almost a gold. Not a lot darker, but just to give the wall a little character. And then, this is the good part, I am going to paint a cherry tree up from the landing, because there's a landing 2 steps up, from the landing up the wall and up all the way up to about where the ceiling is. And I'm going to have branches coming out all across the wall with cherry blossoms, and the cherry blossoms petals falling down. And I'm going to work on that this week. My husband is laughing at me.
My goodness.
But that's the plan.
That'll be something you need to take pictures of. No
well, there wasn't really much to take pictures of, just painting the wall yellow. That was kind of, mundane. So, but this week I have a 6-foot level, and I'm going to use that to mark where the stripes are going to go. and the stripes are going to be the width of the roller. So I'll put 2 lines for each stripe, and that will be more narrow than the actual roller, so that I will paint over the pencil lines, and then I'll be able to roll up to the top and down to the bottom. I'll have to do a little hand painting to fill in the gaps, but I will be able to take pictures of that. So I may be able to show that step next week, because once I get that done, then I can start doing the tree, and I'm really excited about the tree. And I have these things. They look like wood fairies. They're made out of porcelain. And I used to buy them from this artist that was at a craft show. And I have a few of them. I used to have them all over the house at Blooming Acres. But they're faces, and they look like very whimsical. And one of the reasons I'm painting this tree on the wall is the stairwell is very narrow. And so I can't hang any pictures or anything because you'd bump into them. But up by the ceiling in the branches, I can hang these little faces. They're covered in lichen and leaves and pine cones. And they're going to look like there's little fairies that live in the tree. I have them, and I've wondered where I was going to put them, and I can't put them low down. So they have to go up high in the branches, way up high, so that they don't get bumped when you're going up and down the stairs. So I'm really excited about this project, and I will keep you posted, and we should be making a little bit of progress every week, I hope. It's got to be done before spring, Chris. It's got to be done before spring, but you know about that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thanks so much, Peggy. I always enjoy your show. Have a great week.
Okay. Thank you. You too. Oh, and it's Nancy from Somerset. We can go and have a little chat with Nancy. Nancy, are you with us?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. A great show. Really loving it. I've set my Sunday timer now for 10 o'clock. So
thank you.
I won't
Appreciate that.
Anymore. And, and I have a quick question about your idea of planting the tomatoes after the peas. I was just curious as to if the peas are going to set nitrogen into the soil, and maybe if you want fruit and not too much green stuff, you might need to add the other of the K, P elements to offset any extra nitrogen in the soil because of the peas?
I don't think so. I think if you fertilize in the spring, because the nitrogen and the phosphorus, I'm sorry, the phosphorus and the potassium, they don't dissipate very quickly. They hang around for a long time. So I don't think you need to add any more. I wouldn't add any more nitrogen. You want the nitrogen, a little bit of nitrogen in there to get started at the beginning of the season. But I think you'd be fine. I don't think there's going to be so much nitrogen in the soil that it would limit the ability of the tomatoes to set fruit. Now, remember, you're going to be starting very early in the spring with the peas, and then they will grow and they will set nitrogen in the soil to some degree. And then if you just don't, but ordinarily you do fertilize your tomatoes before you put them in the ground. So if you just don't add any additional fertilizer, I think you'll be fine.
Okey-doke. Sounds good.
The only way to answer that question 100% accurately would be to have a soil test to see if you need more phosphorus and potassium. Soil tests don't test for nitrogen because it's so transient. So you're not going to get a result of that. But if you can have a soil test to see if you need more. But if you add a lot of compost and you amend the soil and the soil's in good shape to begin with, I think you'd be fine.
Oh, that sounds good. Okay, that's great. I'll let you have space now for anybody else who's calling in.
Do we have any more callers?
Have a good week. And yeah, say hi to Jordan for me on Tuesday.
I will definitely do that. Thanks for calling, Nance. All right,
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. All right, let's do the more hooks thing. All right, as I have mentioned on many occasions, hooks in the greenhouse, I just keep adding them and adding them and adding them because, the greenhouse is full and, I can't expand it anymore. Tommy keep saying you need a bigger greenhouse. And I'm like, no, there's enough to maintain what I have. But I want to show you some of the different hooks that I use and how they actually do different things. And also some of them are really cute. If I see a really cute hook, I'll just buy it. There's that duck hook, and then the double hooks, and this really strange fleur-de-lis hook. I think I've shown you that one once before, but I got it at some like big box store. They just had a whole bunch of them, and I'm sorry I didn't buy more, but this one's very flexible and adaptable to different heights and hanging it in different places. So I wish I haven't seen it again, but I wish I had bought 6 of them at the time. All right, and this is all the S hooks, all different. You can see I can't really hang anything heavy from that because that's really an electrical conduit on the top. So it's plastic. So I have the hooks and I have small things hanging from it, but not anything real heavy. But I have access to all those S hooks, and they're used all around the greenhouse. And they're easier to find in the spring, but you can order them from different places online. These I actually got on Etsy, and they weren't particularly expensive, and they came in different lengths, which is wonderful. Okay, I have to have a chicken hook in my greenhouse, and the elephant was just kind of irresistible. But these are fun. And again, you know, the more hooks you have, you don't have to use all of them at the same time. But when you have something that you want to hang, it's good to have options. All right. The one on the right here swivels, which is nice. So it can move around, and you can move it right in the window. And then it's easy to access the plant by pulling it out, which is very helpful. The one on the left looks like kind of a massive hook, and it is in directly in the wood, but it's only in with one screw and it's hanging straight down. So again, I'm careful about not hanging anything too heavy on those. This is my favorite hook. Okay, this is a bumblebee, and I probably have half a dozen of them. Again, I have to be a little bit careful because they are held with only one screw, but at least the screw is going in sideways instead of straight up. So you can see on the back of the hook, it has like a little keyhole to hang it. And the most recent one is on the right that I added, and that's how they look. You can see them kind of throughout the greenhouse. If you look on the picture on the right closely, I can see at least 3 of them in this one shot. So, and I know there's more, and I'm always adding. This one is kind of special to me because I picked this one up at the animal rescue place in Utah called Best Friends. And that one, they're the ones behind the movement to make sure that all euthanasia for dogs, because they're homeless, is gone. And they're also the ones that rescued Michael Vick's dogs, and they became known as victory dogs because they had to go to court in order to get a court injunction to be able to take the dogs because they were going to put them all to sleep. So that place is near and dear to my heart, and I think that's a really cute little hook. Oh, there we go again. Now these are in front of the window that faces east. And again, with all the S hooks, you can, you know, adjust them to varying heights. But I had that, and it just fit perfect over the window. So that was like a different approach to hanging things. And this is the one that I want to show you. I found this at Hobby Lobby, and I just thought it was kind of awesome. And I'm going to show you in a quick video what we did with it. I'm sorry about the dogs barking, and we're having a little trouble finding the video, so just give us a second, but I think it's going to be coming up now. Hey, Kusa, come over here. Why are you barking? Here. Here we go. Hooks are a really important part of the greenhouse because we have things hanging everywhere, and I'm always looking to try to squeeze in something else.
hooks are a really important part of the greenhouse because we have things hanging everywhere, and I'm always looking to try to squeeze in something else. And I found this really cool device at Hobby Lobby, and it has these 4 hooks that slide, and this way of attaching it. So I pre-drilled the holes. I'm holding it up with duct tape and got that in there. Give it a little screw there. Okay. Okay, so that's the first one. That's 2. Okay, now we'll do the other side. Let's take this piece of tape down. Okay, that worked. And now I have 2 more screws. And let's see if we can find the spot right there. There's that. Okay, I'll give it another little turn. Make sure I got it in the hole. Okay. All right, one more. Okay. Take down the duct tape. And now we're all set. We can hang them at different heights so that we'll be able to use all 4 different hooks, and that gives us space for 4 more plants.
Great.
Okay, so I'm very happy with those hooks. And an interesting thing about getting hooks at Hobby Lobby is that they go on sale for half price every other week or so. So you can check. That particular bar with 4 hooks was about $23.99 at full price. And I could have waited until next week, but I was so excited when I found it that I splurged. I might go back and buy a couple more and put them in different places in the greenhouse, but they were really fun and very solid. So 4 more plants. Do you see that? I need 4 more plants, Tommy. Okay, we're going to have to work on that. All right, I will be here next week. It's a snowy, wintry week, so not going to have too much outside, but I will hang out in the garden. We will pick out seeds, and I will be working on getting started on painting my cherry tree. So until then, have a good one.
1, 2, 3, 4.